Howdy folks, welcome to Dig Drive DIY. My name is Neil, and this week I've got a pretty ambitious DIY project, all in the hopes of showing a little love to my 2015 Ford F-150 XLT.
Go Dig Drive DIY!
My intention is to rip out the perfectly good cloth seats of this truck and attempt to replace them with Katzkin leather interior, all for the sake of hopefully making it easier to keep them clean as a work truck. I'm going to explain some of the biggest challenges I encountered as a first-time DIY installer and provide some installation instructions based on what I learned. But I also hope this project is just interesting enough that you might just find the video entertaining too. I just wish these seats were done. Oh, that is nice. I love it. Now, full disclosure, this is a take-home company truck. And that is a terrific perk of my job because I get to use this and treat it just like it was my own. So it's not just a company truck to me though, it's our second family vehicle. So therefore, I put a lot of my own time into maintaining and keeping it looking nice. It's important to me to be able to use it for both work and pleasure and stick with just one truck for everything I do. But it's still a work truck, which means it will very often get dirty. And you know what? I get dirty when I'm using it too. Because like so many other folks, my job and almost everything else I do requires me to be in the dirt, dust, grime, and grease. So in my opinion, one of the dumbest things to put in a truck you want to also use for dirty work is cloth upholstery. So this factory looking leather seat option has a price tag of about $500. To have them professionally installed can sometimes be in the neighborhood of an additional $1,000 in labor. That second price tag is called a DIY motivator. So here are my 5 most important things you should know before attempting this DIY install. Number 1, this is a moderately difficult DIY project by my standards. It requires a good bit of time and a lot of patience. Katzkin recommends that you have them professionally installed, even though they'll gladly sell you the kit. I don't think a first-time installer is likely to do it in one day because it took me most of a Sunday afternoon and then 4 additional evenings. Just fully educate yourself by watching some installation videos so you know what to expect before you buy. Just make sure you have some pullover zip-up shirts because when you're done, your fingers will be so sore you won't be able to button your shirt. Number 2, don't plan on trying to save the original seat covers. I thought I'd try to save them and resell them or something, but trust me, just cut them out of there because one of the most difficult aspects of this whole process is unclipping the old cloth material from the foam seat base if you're trying to save them. Number 3, if you have the 40-20-40 front seat like I do with center console combo, then installing the vinyl piece on the top lid cover is likely the most challenging part of the install. It was intimidating to me, but it can be done with great results if you're patient and again, if you're properly equipped. Number 4, a few tools that I wanted to mention that you may not already have. You'll need lots of sharp, brand new razor blades, a cordless impact gun, a full set of Torx drivers for your impact, an industrial style heat gun, a plastic trim fastener removal tool, an 18mm deep well socket, and a high quality spray adhesive if you're doing that center console lid. Number 5, if your truck has, say, over 50,000 miles, there's a good chance you may need to patch up the foam on the driver's side seat base, and also you may need to be prepared to fix some of the clips that are embedded in the seat foam as well. So there's a lot to this install, but those are the 5 highlights I would offer up, having done this now twice. And I'm going to offer up some in-depth detail concerning not only those 5 points, but basically every aspect of the installation procedure. First of all, let's start with the seat removal. To get started, you need to remove the seats from the truck. This is pretty straightforward, and if you're willing to consider this project, you are the type of person that can get the seats out. For me, the biggest hurdle was that you need an 18mm deep well socket for a couple of the rear seat bolts, and wouldn't you know it, I didn't have one. For the front seats, remove all 4 bolts in the seat base first, then tip the seat backwards and disconnect the electrical connector underneath. You must remove both front seats before you can remove the center console because the bolts for it are in the sides. I drove the truck to work a couple days with just the driver's seat in it. Get the seats up on a nice sturdy work table. The seat covers are relatively easy to start removing with fasteners and zippers until you get to what they call the listing that is clipped into the foam of the seat base. There are these orange clips in the bottom of the channels of the seats, and it's very difficult to get them to release the plastic listing that is attached to the seat cover. I struggle with both back seats trying to get them to release with a screwdriver, and believe me, you do more harm than good trying to get them out of there. They are too easy to damage and too difficult to repair to take the risk of compromising them by prying on them with a screwdriver. When you do get them to pop open with some force, they're often weakened, and then they won't hold the new listing in as well as what they should have. Just cut the plastic listing free from the seat cover and then easily pull the listings out of the orange clips like this. This will keep you from damaging the clips and make it much more likely that you'll be able to successfully install the new listings without any issues. Plus, it really speeds up the entire process just to cut them out of there. Getting the new leather seat covers on is like trying to put your socks on when your feet are wet. It's pretty straightforward, but you may struggle getting the listing to clip securely into the orange clips. You should fold the corners of the seats inside out before you begin to snap the listings in. If you can remove the foam from the seat frame, it can make it much easier. So start in the centers and work your way out. Sometimes you just need to get something behind the clips to push against. So maybe it's your hand, or you may need to get a board to put back there and push against it. You have to hold the listing in with your fingers near the clip and push your fingers down into the grooves. It's a real struggle to get some of those things to clip. Oftentimes you can push them in and then they only halfway clip in. Make sure you hear a nice solid snapping sound as you're clicking in the listing. It's just like you were going to the chiropractor. Once you get all the listings snapped in, work the corners over the edges of the seat while supporting the listing in the clips with your available hand. Reach up inside and manipulate the foam to make it smooth. You need to pull, stretch, tighten, repeat it all. Clip the bottoms of the seat covers together with the big long channel, and finally, do the zippers last. You can use a pair of needle nose pliers to pull on the zippers. When you get to the front seats, you have to deal with removing the airbags, but it is really easy. There are two 10mm nuts on the inside of the seat frame to remove, and then the airbag will easily come out. Remove the electrical connector by pulling on the orange portion of the plastic clip. The airbag is easy to reinstall because it only goes in one way, with the studs protruding through the holes in the fabric of the airbag holder, and then the electrical connector needs to be pointed down. Front seat foam rebuild. My seat foam on the driver's side was a little deflated from getting in and out a couple thousand times, so I found some foam around the house and built it back up again by using some spray adhesive to attach the foam to the original seat, and then let it get tacky for a few minutes. This is your chance to try your hand at being a sculptor. Build it up with the foam and try to shape it like the original seat would have been shaped. And eliminate any sharp edges too, because you can see those through the leather if you don't take them out. If your truck is newer or has fewer miles, you may not need to worry about this. You'll know if you put the cover on if it needs build up, because it'll be baggy and wrinkly in that area if your seat cushion has been broken down. The orange clips could be weak on the door side of the driver's seat as well. I found a couple orange clips that just weren't holding the new listing securely, so I solved the problem by cutting a small slit in the fabric just above the plastic listing. I then routed a zip tie in through the slit and down into the foam seat base and around the original clip. This seemed to be a great solution, and many of the clips had holes in the foam on either side below the clip, and I could get the zip tie through there. It worked really well. The most intimidating part for me was the center console seat, and particularly the console lid. First of all, you have to completely disassemble it to recover the three components. It's about half bolts and half plastic connectors to get that thing apart. You feel like you're going to break it when you're trying to get everything pulled apart. But remove the small screws that hold the plastic sides on, then pull the center back plastic straight out the back. Remove the 12-volt plug connector and then work on the sides. This is a great place to use that plastic trim fastener tool, and I've heard people refer to those plastic things as Christmas trees. But you can carefully pry the plastic away. And once the plastic gets off, it's obvious which bolts you need to remove. The fabric on all these parts is easy to remove if you just cut it off with a razor blade. The bottom seat cover is really difficult because it is smaller at the bottom than it is on the top. So you really have to take your time and work it a little bit on each side and just constantly back and forth down. Don't pull on the carpet part because it will stretch. Pull on the leather part and just take it easy. Again, like socks on wet feet. I found it helped to get it warmed up in front of the heater before I started this. As a matter of fact, I heated all the seat covers in front of the heater before trying to install them. The fabric on the folding seat back can be removed once you remove the console lid assembly and the plastic drink holder overlay. Again, cut around the perimeter and then pull off the piece that remains on the inside. Pay attention to the way the original cloth is connected on those plastic clips, as it reinstalls the same way. You have to cut little slits in the leather with a razor blade at each of the clip mount locations and then stretch the leather over and snap it on. I started in the front and then pulled it tight in the back and then worked out the sides. Just keep stretching and get it clipped as tight as you can pull it. Now, for what I dreaded the most of the entire installation was this console lid. This is actually the one part of the leather interior that I wanted the most too, because I think it's completely ridiculous that that lid, which doubles as an armrest, is covered in fabric. But first of all, you have to detach the top lid plate by prying it off of the bottom plate. It's all plastic in there too, so you want to be careful. Cut off the old fabric and then remove all the staples that remain in the lid. Now's the time for your spray adhesive. You're going to spray around the outside edge while the lid lays on its top. Make sure you do just the edge. Also spray the back side of the vinyl cover piece, concentrating on the edges as well, and not so much in the center. Let it get tacky for a few minutes, and then it will be time to get your spray adhesive all over your fingers in the next step. Start with the sewn seam and align it to the top edge of the plastic lid. It should be sticky enough to stay in place as you align it. Get that nice and straight and make sure the seam is laying down nice and even along that top edge. Once you get it in place, pry the corners over the edges of the lid and then begin the process of trying to pull it all tight and fight the glue as you go. You'll want to have your heat gun ready to warm the vinyl up and stretch it a bit in the corners and around the front handle cutout area. Just pull it tight and then pull it over the back and around the edges and along the sides. You want to make sure you get all the wrinkles out and that the top is nice and smooth. The glue should be sticking pretty good at this point to help hold it in place as you pull it taut. Put the lid on its top again and then press the vinyl down into the edges with the blunt edge of a screwdriver. This will kind of pinch the material into place around the outside of that lid. If it gets too tacky, you can heat it up with the heat gun and the glue will relax a bit and give you some more time to work. I was stressed to the max when I did this, but I stayed at it and just kept my focus and I got it done. It turned out really good too, and I was super happy with it. And once I got that lid reattached on there, it's like the hardest part was over with. Now I just needed to reassemble the entire thing. Now all that's left is to put it all back in the truck. But you saw how easy that was at the beginning of this video. Well, that's a general summary of the most notable installation tips. You can probably figure out the rest, and if not, feel free to ask me any specific questions in the comments below. You know, halfway through this project, I really wondered what I had gotten myself into. My fingers were hurting so terribly bad each night, and I questioned whether or not I had made a good decision. Now that it's done, I don't have any regrets. The fit and feel is fantastic, and it looks great.
Ooh, this is Smack City.
Smack City.
It even smells new. Did you get a booger on there or what? That's just water.
Just water.
It looks like a brand new leather lariat.
It does, doesn't it? It changed it.
It matches your dash and everything.
So do I have the boss's approval on the new seats?
Oh yeah. Can I sit on it?
Yep.
Even with my Carhartts?
Well, that's why I got leather, so we can clean them up.
So I get hog poop on it and you get back out?
With the cloth seats, I wouldn't have wanted you to sit on there, but with these, I feel I can clean them up.
It is kind of snazzy. I like the gray and black accent.
All right, just so you approve, since you paid for it.
Maybe I haven't paid yet.
Oh, you're gonna be screwed. Well, he was so impressed with the seats that we decided to do another truck here at work. So I went through all the trouble of mine, and now I've got an apprentice, Nick here. He's figuring out how to do these seats. What do you think of the seat, doing the seats, Nick?
It's a pain in the butt, but they look good afterwards.
They do look good. So I want to hear what you think. Do you think leather seats for a work truck is a great idea, or is a work truck just meant to get dirty and don't worry about it too much? If you're an ambitious DIYer and you like the idea of leather seats for your XLT, then I think this is a great affordable option and one of the best things you can do for a work truck that also doubles as your weekend family driver. Hopefully, if you decide to tackle this project, you found this video useful, or if not, at least entertaining. All right, it's time to take this thing for a cruise and just enjoy the seats. Hopefully, I'll see you on the next one. Take care.